Get ready, Novas Nation. The countdown is on. The Supernovas return to the court this January with team captain Brooke Nuneviller and returning Huskers Merritt Beeson and GM John Cook. This season promises to be bigger, louder, and more electrifying than ever with world-class professional volleyball lighting up Omaha. Season tickets keep you at the center of every moment with the best fans in pro volleyball. Secure your seats today at supernovas.com.
Hello and welcome to Volleyball State, a look at the sport of volleyball in 6 rotations and a proud part of the I-80 Club, brought to you tonight by Alumni Hall. I'm Jeff Sheldon.
And I'm Lincoln Arneal.
For the 3rd straight year, Lincoln, Nebraska takes home the Big Ten championship. This one all by itself after sweeping Iowa and Indiana this past weekend. The Huskers remain unbeaten this week and clinch the league championship. Plus, tonight on the show, we're going to talk the ACC title race is going to come down to the final week of the season, the way that every conference probably wishes their conference title race is going to go. The ACC pulled it off. The SEC is reviving its conference tournament. Matches are being played as we speak. And the postseason has already started in Division II and NAIA with plenty of Nebraska teams involved. So, Lincoln, even at the smaller level, we've got lots and lots of interest right here in the Volleyball State.
Yes, we're going to cover all of that and a lot more. Here's our look at the rotations for this week. We got rotation number 1, Nebraska versus Indiana. Then we're going to hop in the time machine and jump backwards to Thursday night for rotation 2 for Huskers versus Indiana. Rotation 3, we're going to talk about the Big Ten matches of note from the past week. And rotation 4, a little bit meatier than usual. We've got a lot of national stuff happening, a lot of conference tournaments to go over, and some conference title races that are coming down to the final week. We'll recap all of that in rotation 4. Rotation 5, like Jeff just said, we're going to look at Division II and NAIA tournaments where the local teams of interest are stacked up going into that too. And then rotation 6, as always, Penn State, Ohio State preview to close out the regular season. It's gonna be a good one.
Did you see that? Colonel Baymon's ready to go. He says GBR already. And I didn't know if that's a promotion, if you have always been a colonel, if you got a field commission, or if I've just never seen that handle before. But congratulations and thank you for your service. If you are looking to get your Nebraska Big Ten championship gear, it is already out in production. It is already on the shelves with our friends at Alumni Hall. And not only do they have a shirt celebrating the 2025 Big Ten championship for Nebraska, this is the 3rd straight for the Huskers. And so at Alumni Hall right now, they already have your Nebraska 3-peat Big Ten championship t-shirt. You can find that in both their brick and mortar stores at 11th and P in downtown Lincoln, or down at South Point Pavilions at 27th and Pine Lake Road, or you can find it online at alumnihall.com, where they have more volleyball merch than any competing retailer. Not only do they have the all new Big Ten 3-peat shirts, Lincoln, something for us as gentlemen who are of the age where we appreciate a good flannel. They've got the Columbia Flare Gun flannel button down on sale right now. And as always, that great special from Champion. You get 2 Champion tees for $38. We're going to save you 15% on any and all of that when you use the promo code Volleyball State at alumnihall.com, or you walk into one of the stores, you fill your cart, you fill your arms with all of your lovely gifts and merchandise, and you take it up to the counter and you say, I'm a Volleyball State listener. I would like the Volleyball State discount. And they're going to knock 15% off your order as well. See Tony right here. Tony is living and loving the brand. He says, I'm ordering the axolotl shirt for my son because of you, Jeff. I showed it to my wife last night and she's like, buy them right now. I've got a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old and they don't listen to this and they can't hear me right now. So they don't know that they're probably going to be getting that for an upcoming secular holiday.
Yes.
I mean, Christmas. We're going to probably have it for Christmas. So Tony, thank you so much. Don't forget to use your promo code Volleyball State to save that 15%.
For sure. Get the merch. It's ready. You got to get ready for the postseason run. We're at this weekend. Impress all of your relatives at Thanksgiving, another holiday. You already got your Big Ten champion shirt, and the Big Ten season is not even over.
It's true. We got one final weekend of Big Ten play after this, and we're going to preview that for you in rotation 6. We're going to talk about Penn State and Ohio State. We have a pretty good idea, at least right now, of what the final Big Ten standings are going to be, at least or at the top of the league. We're going to run through that. But the reason that we have kicked the show off in this fashion is because Nebraska clinches its third consecutive Big Ten championship. This one, they're not going to share with anyone. They're not going to share with Penn State. They're not going to share with Wisconsin. They got it done on Saturday night in Bloomington, Indiana, sweeping the Hoosiers 25-19, 25-16, 25-22 as we move into rotation one. And Lincoln, this kind of seemed, we've seen a run of these matches lately where Nebraska does not always play champagne volleyball. They look a little out of sorts at times. Indiana had them off balance with some of their serving and some of their attacking pace a little bit early on. And then you sort of step back at the end of it, and Nebraska hits 340 and holds a team under 200, one of the better offenses in the Big Ten, and kind of shuts up what was, at least it appeared on TV, to be a rowdy and loud crowd at Wilkinson Hall.
Yes, and also the two people who were talking to Nebraska servers the entire night too. Apparently that was a point of controversy and questionable sportsmanship.
Ever since Nebraska moved to the Big Ten, I feel like we haven't really talked a lot about super disruptive student sections. And I know they exist at Purdue. The fans are right on top of you. Wisconsin is really loud in the field house, Penn State. But the ones that always stuck out to me were like in the Big 12, they would always talk about how at Texas A&M, they had students that were kind of right on the court in the volleyball arena they were playing in at the time. I don't think they were playing in Reed, but like that's the match down there where like John Cook got a yellow card or maybe a red card down in College Station once upon a time. But yeah, it seemed like Husker fans at least are taking particular exception to the Indiana fans who are kind of right on the back shoulders of Nebraska's servers.
And I guess we always had, whenever they showed them, they had the head-on view a lot of the time. So I don't know what the actual depth was. I wasn't there. So I don't know what the actual depth was, but they had a Big Ten feature on that, one of the students who were doing that. So apparently it's good-natured. I don't know, but it's constant chirping. So it's a different approach. It didn't work. Nebraska handled it. But
isn't that what you kind of want your student section to be, though? Like you want other teams to whine and complain about how into it your students are. And I think that's kind of what Nebraska wants when they're consolidating the student section in John Cook Arena starting next year.
Yeah, we'll see how close they allowed Nebraska students to get to the end line. But usually, I mean, the courts are, especially with all these Terraflex courts, there's such a distance, and the only time you really kind of get any close proximity to them is when they go back to serve and they start their run up so far back. But it really didn't. I mean, to me, it didn't affect Nebraska that much. What they finished serving wise, they missed 7 serves, so
not bad.
That's about normal for what we've seen from Nebraska this year, maybe a little bit higher.
2 1/3 a set. That's not terrible.
But one thing that I want to talk about too, you mentioned how, the atmosphere and just kind of the speed that Indiana brought. I thought this Nebraska team was going to be in a lot of trouble to start the match too. I mean, they were down momentarily 10-5. They had, 5 hitting errors in their first 12 swings until one of the last one got reversed, and Harper Murray hitting error was challenged and got reversed to that, made it 9-6 at that point. Nebraska eventually kind of run, but I mean, Nebraska just looked so out of sync. You talked about the connection between Riley and her hitters was just not there to start poor decision making on what type of hits they were making as well too. And really until that challenge turned things around, I thought Nebraska was going to be in for a long, long night.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, Indiana, I thought, credit them for having a good serving strategy. They have I think a number of teams have sort of decided we're gonna target Harper Murray with our serving and just try to wear her down. I have this in here. Gosh, if I scroll long enough, I will find it. But Harper, well, just how many times she's been served? She's been served like 80 times in Nebraska's 3 matches, and this is what I get for there we go. Harper Murray's been served 81 times in Nebraska's last 4 matches, and she's passing a 1.9 with a 41% good pass, which is not great. In fact, it's the lowest on the team. And so you see teams, Indiana did it. I think it was USC or UCLA served her like 30 times. Teams are deciding to serve Harper Murray and trying to wear her down. And she hasn't had some of the best passing matches lately. Nebraska was out of system and out of sync to start that match. And, they end up hitting another incredible number, 340. But they didn't make it easy on Berg and Riley. And one of the players who I thought really stepped up and helped Nebraska steady themselves was Virginia Adriano. who's having a really nice run here lately in the last 2 weekends. You throw that ball up high to her, and she's still one-on-one because other teams are kind of commit blocking on Nebraska's middles, and she's making you pay.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of the evolution of what you've seen from her all season too, and you've also seen it carry over to the service line as well too. She's playing with a lot more confidence, and I think the other key part is Nebraska's getting her swings early and getting her into the flow of the game, and really kind of each set almost, and really that builds her confidence early. I mean, a couple times she may get blocked or have an error too, but they're not afraid to go back to her. I think that's the real difference maker. If they can get her involved in the action, that'll free up the middles and free up Harper Murray on the left pin a little bit more too. And like you said, I mean, she 9 kills, hit 412 for the match. And I think it also a sneaky stat for her, 6 blocks. That was one of her best blocking matches of the season against Indiana.
Right. So she's on the right side, and she's over there against the other teams, usually their best opposite hitter. So, Alonso Cortez is, believe how it was being pronounced on the television broadcast, who's a really good outside, Indiana's best outside hitter. And Adriano did a really good job over on the right, defensively as well. I think she was the one Nebraska player who got blocked, and it was on like the 3rd rally of the match. She got a really tough out of system set and couldn't do a lot with it. Nebraska was only blocked 1 time on Saturday.
3rd point of the match.
Against an Indiana team that was pretty good defensively, coming in. Lincoln, did you know this was only Indiana's 2nd loss of the season at Wilkinson Hall?
I think I looked it up for my story, but I don't know. It's impressive. They do pretty well, and it was a sold out match as well too. So it seemed to be pretty Indiana heavy. There were some, but there weren't a lot of Nebraska invaders that usually happens on these road matches.
Yeah, it was a partisan crowd. I would say one of the few that Nebraska's had to play in this year. Probably the last one that they've had that they will have to play in this year, because they have 2 remaining home matches, and then they're going to be a top seed in the NCAA tournament. And if they make it to the Final Four, that's going to be a pretty partisan Nebraska crowd too. So Saturday was the last time Nebraska was going to play in front of anything resembling a hostile environment. And credit Nebraska, even during one of those early timeouts where they were down, 9-6, or they might have even taken one earlier. Everyone looked really loose on the bench. No one was tightened up. Everyone knew that it was that a lot of time to get right. And even though Nebraska didn't look the way their offense was running like it was a well-oiled machine, Riley missed connection with the middles a few times. There were some slides that like Andy Jackson ran where Riley set the ball far out to the pin, but Jackson ran the route more inside, and it just sort of looked clunky. Nebraska still ended up not sweating this at all. If you want to get to the numbers, Harper Murray led Nebraska 11 kills on 296 hitting. So, we talk about Harper Murray being a little bit more terminal. Anytime your top outside hitter hits like close to 300, that's a pretty good match. Adriano continuing her hot run, hit 412 on Saturday against Indiana, those 9 kills and those 6 blocks that Lincoln mentioned. And then Annie Jackson, like anytime anymore, if she ever hits under 400, we're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? Was she sick? Was the setter playing with one hand behind her back? Andy Jackson, 9 kills, 4 blocks, and hit 538. I didn't realize this until I think today. Andy Jackson is the nation's leading attacker.
I think she moved into it with this torrid streak of having 600, 700 hitting performance. I think that's a late kind of development. She's passed a couple people in the lower ranks of NCAA, but number one
on the season now, like 467 or something like that. I'm not making this up, but it's close. Andy Jackson is hitting like a crazy high number and had 9 kills again. Rebecca Alec, not the best percentage wise for her, but still finished with 7 kills and 4 blocks. Indiana really didn't have much of an answer for Nebraska's middles. And then Nebraska stepped up the service pressure themselves, I thought as well, because Nebraska finished with 4 aces, just same amount as Indiana. So Nebraska matched Indiana's service pressure, and Huskers got aces from 4 different players. And so, you look at the numbers, they tell the tale that Nebraska was the superior team in this match. 467 on the season. Thanks very much, Lincoln. And so that's number 2 or number 3 as it stands right now in school history for a single season.
Yeah. So this is a question that I had too. I mean, when we look at the numbers, what should we trust more for the current state of Nebraska? Do we trust the numbers? We trust our eyes that see maybe a little bit more mistakes and just bad connections? Or do you chalk that up to Nebraska has a human moments every now and then? They're not just juggernaut that just is a well-oiled machine that makes the place
Yeah.
flawless volleyball.
I mean, the answer is both, I think, and I don't say that to cop out. Nebraska is most likely going to finish the season unbeaten in Big Ten play, which will be the first time Nebraska has ever done that. Go 20-0, and so that tells you that you have one of the best teams in the country right there. I think the standard that have been measuring Nebraska against since the early part of the season, especially after the first weekend and they won those matches, and maybe even since the Kentucky match, is when you watch them play, does this look like a team that's going to win a national championship? Because that is now, fairly or not, how the season is going to be measured, because this team is just expected to win it all now, or at the very least make the Final Four. And so you see some folks online who are like, they need to clean up that serve receive. Nebraska didn't pass terribly. They passed over 2 for the match. Or, hey, some of those misconnections, you can't miss that in game 4 against Kentucky when it's 22-22. And so, yeah, I think one of the things that Danny Busboom-Kelly has brought to Nebraska is that they're kind of loose. Like, she's not sweating this right now. And we don't see what's going on in practice. They're always trying to get better. The perfect match is still out there. But, against a team like Indiana, who's really good, right? Indiana, what did we say before the show started? They're a top 15 RPI team. They're 14th in the country.
I think is what I said. Yeah, they're 13th.
And Nebraska went in and swept them on their own home court while not looking like they were playing their A game. So, I think that tells you that, if that's not their A game, what is the A game that we're watching for? Are we expecting every match to be like the Penn State match where they, hit 450 and allow 19 combined points or whatever it was? That's just that's not realistic. And so Nebraska, I think, can beat you even when they're playing a B+ match instead of an A+ match.
Yeah. And I think these are young college athletes. They may have a game where they're off or they're just kind of out of sync. Or, they're playing a very good team in a hostile environment too. And they still didn't really have to swim. There's a little bit of sweating maybe in set 3, but this was another run-of-the-mill match, easy win over a top 20 team. So I think that sometimes Nebraska can be its own worst enemy of setting the standard so high that anything less than what we saw against Penn State or the Stanford match too. I think that was one of the peak performances of the early season. Is just kind of, oh no, what's wrong? Do we need to panic? No, I think this is just a really good Nebraska team that finds ways to get it done when there aren't all the connections there too. So I think that's the important thing to keep in mind as we get down to the last week of the regular season.
I was doing a rewatch of the match this afternoon because I was able to keep a little bit of an eye on it for bits and pieces last night, but I had an event going on. One of the things I thought that Indiana did really interestingly that not every team that Nebraska plays has done is they were doing a lot of tips. They were doing tips, off speeds, roll shots, tipping over the block really skillfully. And I think that kept Nebraska off balance. And Nebraska was having a hard time transitioning when they picked those up, right? It's hard to transition off a pancake because you're not really directing it to a setter. And so someone's got to take a tricky second touch. And Nebraska, this was one of their better out-of-system hitting matches on the year. I thought Murray and Taylor Landfair were pretty good out of system.
Yeah, and Olivia Malk had 6 assists is what I was going to say too. She was the starting libero. We should note that she got the jersey again. Her and Lainey Choboy alternated this week too. Lainey was also wearing a different number, which also threw people for a loop.
Apparently, she forgot her jersey.
I don't think the jersey made the trip. Which they wore their blacks, which you figure she brought a white and red jersey, and I don't know. It happens, That's why they have that the extra blood jersey with them, just in case something like that happens. So, but back
Lincoln. Set the Middle says in the I-80 Club Discord, just moved into number 1 after Iowa. I assume that's in reference to Andy Jackson being the nation's leader in attack percentage right now. So thanks very much.
I would say the other result of Indiana tipping a lot too, Bergen Riley led the team with 9 digs too. When you're tipping over that the outside hitter, that's where the setter plays that right back position in defense too. So Bergen picked up a lot more of those balls, which then, like you said, led to the out-of-system plays with Olivia Mock and Lane Choboy added 2 assists as well too. But Nebraska handled it well too. And again, this shows the versatility of Nebraska too, that when they get taken out of what they want to do, they can still be a very high performing team.
And a big reason for that on Saturday against Indiana was Nebraska's serve, block, and defense. I thought was really, really impressive. Huskers served 4 aces. They kept Indiana out of system. I don't have the good pass numbers from Indiana, but it was like 42%, I want to say. It wasn't great. And then you look at Indiana's leading attacker, Candela Alonso Cortez. She had 10 kills, but she hit 083. She'd hit 500 over her previous 2 matches. So like she carved up Rutgers on Friday night. And then Jaden Yeager, the other Indiana outside, hit negative. So Nebraska took Indiana's 2 outside hitters and basically held them to 0 for the match.
Yeah. Avery Tatum had a little bit of success too, but by far volume wise, Alonso Cortez and Yeager had, they combined to take 60 of their 95 attacks. So if they're hitting negative for the match, pretty close to it, then you're doing something well too.
Absolutely. Last thing I'll add,
47% is the Nebraska's good pass percentage against Indiana. So
I'm sorry, what was it?
47%.
Okay, Indiana's good pass was 47.
Indiana was 48. Nebraska was at 47%.
Okay.
So Teraya Sigler was 60% on 10. You mentioned Harper kind of struggled at 40. And then Lainey Choboy, who's in there, is number 17 because she wore a different number. She was at 50% on 10 as well too. So
yeah. So Nebraska again did not pass the greatest, still hit 340. And just let's step back and look at the bigger picture here. Nebraska had never gone unbeaten in Big Ten play, and they've got 1 weekend left to do that. They did go 19-1 3 times previously in Big Ten play. In 2017, that was a national championship team. And then the last 2 seasons, where in 2023 and 2024, when they won the Big Ten title. So for the last 3 seasons, and this number, I had to triple check it when I wrote it down because it just sounds absurd. Over the last 3 seasons, Nebraska is 56-2 in Big Ten matches. If they finish off an undefeated run on this weekend, they will be 58-2 over the last 2 seasons of Big Ten play, which is crazy.
Yeah, you think about those 2 losses as well too. They both happened the last week of the regular season because one was in 23. They were undefeated the entire season and then lost to Wisconsin on that Black Friday match up in Madison. Rebounded to beat Minnesota the next night too. And then last year they were undefeated as well too, lose to Penn State, which allowed Penn State to clinch at least the share of the Big Ten title. And then Nebraska rebounds by beating Maryland the next night to clinch their share of the Big Ten title. So the last week, we're entering that last week is a dangerous time. We'll see if Nebraska can survive the jinx that we've just put in them by saying that.
Well, and Penn State was the last Big Ten team to go unbeaten in league play. They did it in 2009, and that was part of that amazing run of Penn State in the late first decade of the 2000s, where they did it 3 years in a row. Yeah,
that's probably the best 3. Nebraska's run over the last 3 years is the best since that 3-year run by Penn State of 60-0. So it's impressive to see what the Huskers have done with very different teams too, because a lot of the teams that were 2003, almost all the key players from that team are now gone. You still got 3 of them, and Murray, Alec.
Yeah, you got Murray, Riley, and Andy Jackson, and Alec. Alec was on that team too. Okay. Let's get into rotation 2, Nebraska versus Iowa. If you're listening to this live right now, you had the opportunity on Sunday night. You had the opportunity on Friday to join us for the Volleyball late post-game show after Nebraska versus Iowa. We give those out to our subscribers for the most part. So if you want to be a live listener to Volleyball late, give us your comments, give us your questions, kind of review the match with us through the I-80 Club Discord. All it does is it costs you $5 a month. Patreon.com/I-80 Club. That's Patreon.com/I-80 Club. Thank you if you're a subscriber who's listening live right now. If you're checking us out later in the week on Tuesday when this show goes up for everyone, just do it. It'll be a great Christmas present to Jack Mitchell and Josh Peterson and the rest of the I-80 Club, as well as us to give yourself the gift of volleyball this
and you're not going to miss what we have
holiday season.
Yeah,
What'd you say?
we had a lot of fun stuff planned for December too. So now's a great time to
Oh,
support
yeah.
all the extra work that we will do for our wonderful audience.
Well, and we're talking about doing a volleyball late this coming Friday for after Nebraska plays Penn State in Lincoln, and that'll be a late one, right? No, wait, that match starts at like 5:30.
Yeah.
5:30.
Luckily, we're not doing one after Ohio State. Ohio State starts at 8:00. It'll help you with your turkey over after you get done Black Friday shopping. Watch some volleyball, listen to some volleyball late podcasts. It'll help you with all that turkey hangover.
Absolutely. Rotation 2, Nebraska beat Iowa on Friday night, swept the Hawkeyes 25-15, 25-21, 25-18, out-hit Iowa 384-073. So the numbers look a lot similar to what Nebraska put up against Indiana on Saturday night. Once again, Harper Murray led the team with 11 kills again on 23 swings. Andy Jackson, what a season she's having. Like we've kind of run out of superlatives to talk about Andy Jackson. 10 kills, just 2 errors on 14 swings, so she hit 571. And then Adriano had hit 500 with 9 kills. So for the week, Virginia Adriano, whose hitting percentage was like hanging out in the low 200s for most of the season, hit 452 over the last week with 9 kills. And a really cool serve, right? This is the, hey, welcome to late November, December Virginia Adriano serve that we saw a little bit against Indiana as well.
Yeah, and if you read Husker Max, you got to read my story about that because we got to talk to her a little bit about her serve after the match as well too. And for all the struggles that she went to, she's hitting 283 for the season, which is pretty darn good for an
better than Merritt Beeson was hitting last year.
Yeah, it was
off the top of my head.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, way better than that.
So I think Beeson ended up at like, even during her All-American year, was like 275. I think like if your opposite hitter, if they're hitting, north of 260, maybe you want around 275 at least, like that's pretty good. And Adriano has crept up there lately.
Yeah, at her All-American year, Merritt Beeson hit 282.
Okay,
and then that's that's even right now essentially with Adriano, and Adriano is averaging a little bit, almost a kill less per set than what Beeson.
Well, Beeson was a much bigger part of the offense, which was not as balanced.
But she had 233 last year for Nebraska, so good production out of her. But I think her serve, they hadn't used her a lot. They used her a lot against USC on Sunday, and then unleashed her again against Iowa and Indiana. And I think talking to Danny Busman Kelly and just also talking to Adriano a little bit too, it comes down to it as a confidence issue too, and making her believe in herself and just kind of trusting that. And during was it Thursday's serve and pass before Iowa match, she was really ripping it, and they tried to throw her off her game. They were yelling at her, or they were giving her the silent treatment when she was serving, just to kind of make sure she could handle the atmosphere and the pressure a little bit. And she did well. And then she really, her first serve against Iowa just found the seam and went right between two defenders and hit the floor. And both of them like, you got that, and neither one of them had it.
We need to find a way to give Adriano some good old-fashioned unearned American arrogance. She seems like a very like a humble, wonderful person from all of her teammates. Like, we just need to give her like the self-belief that she hasn't necessarily come to earn yet, but impart it in her. Like, I don't know who on the team would be the best to do that. Who, like, Murray always seems like she's kind of unbothered by most things, and Lainey Choboy seems like she has plenty of chutzpah for like 2.5 people.
Give her a pump up speech as well too.
Yeah, exactly. But like Adriano, when she is feeling herself, when she is confident, like, it's scary. You watch some of those serves against Iowa and Indiana, the ones that just like go over the net and immediately drop. Like, how would you describe that? Are they hybrid serves? I feel like they're not exactly jump floats, but how would
they're not really, not real full, jump topspin serves. I mean, I think I've heard the term they're snap serves a little bit as well too. So
but that's from Baylor, and he just makes stuff up.
He makes stuff up. Yeah, I trust John Baylor. But I know they had a cool view on one of the videos I saw from behind the end line too, and they definitely have. They have some movement when they're crossing the net, and to be able to read those if you're trying to pass it is they move late.
The one sort of moment of drama in this match came in game 2. It was tied 20-20. So, you can see why Iowa has played like 13 5-setters this season. They've got some talent. They have some really good players on that team. They just weren't quite at Nebraska's level. Game 2 was tied at 20 before Nebraska ended the set on a 5-1 run. And Nebraska had to sweat it, even though they out-hit Iowa 500 to 162 in the set. And we talked about this a little bit on Volleyball late on Friday. This was an area where maybe the numbers were a little deceptive because the offensive numbers were a blowout in Nebraska's favor, but the serving numbers were all on Iowa's side.
Yeah, I mean, well, they were a lot more. They gave up a lot fewer points too. I mean, they had 3 aces, but only had 2 service errors. I think that's a key point too. I mean, Nebraska did finish with 6 aces, half of those coming from Virginia Adriano, but they had been missed on 10 of them as well too. I'm trying. Let's see if I can figure out this real quick. I mean, and
we thought Iowa might have had 3 aces in game 2, and Nebraska might have missed 3 or 4 serves.
They missed 4. Yeah, they missed 4 in the second set as well too. So that's a key part. And well, they definitely had back-to-back aces that tied it up. Kind of were part of a 3-0 run that tied it up at 16-16. So that's again the service game too. But again, yeah, the numbers at the end of the match too were again heavily skewed towards Nebraska.
One more question about Nebraska's passing I have for you. You know, we saw Lainey Choboy, Olivia Malk was the libero on Saturday against Indiana. I believe she was also on Friday against no, that was Choboy.
Wasn't she? Yes.
Well,
I'm questioning myself.
Do you think we're gonna see them settle into one of those players for the tournament? And if so, doesn't that kind of have to start this coming week?
Well, I don't. This is what Danny does too. She's done this all year of rotating them and let them figure out and kind of.
Choboy
I don't know if she thought
Iowa, by the way.
Yeah. What's that?
Choboy was the libero against Iowa.
Choboy, that's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, I think they're so close and so interchangeable that maybe they thought Indiana was a better serving team, so they put Malk back there to handle more of the passing responsibility. But as we've seen teams kind of focus more on Harper Murray being the target of their serves, I don't know if it matters as much which one of them's in the libero jersey too. And I think Danny said that they're both very good, so she wanted to reward them a little bit too. So I mean, it does. Your mind makes you think that Nebraska should settle on one just for reliability, knowing who you're playing next to, making half of the rotations. But I did notice that even when Malk was playing, was the libero, Choboy was still playing left back, kind of what she plays when she's the libero too. So they're keeping the lineup in the back row steady when she's in there.
All right. Well, before we move into rotation 3, one last Andy Jackson factoid, because it blew me away when I did the math on it yesterday. We've talked about this crazy run Andy Jackson's on. In her last 6 matches, so the last 3 weekends, she's hitting 615. 6-1-5 for one player over their last 6 matches, which is insane.
Yeah, I think I watched a lot of SEC Network here on Sunday, watching all the tournament all day, and you saw a lot of Andy Jackson commercials about bringing the power. And yeah, it's just the way she's able to attack, and everyone knows the slide attack is coming, and still hit around the block, over the block, through the block.
And off the block this year, which I think is actually a great development. She is tooling blockers on the slide, which usually a smaller middle will need to be able to do. And Jackson's now doing it. She's not just pulling it right down into the block.
Or she's just so quick that she sometimes just hits it straight down in front of the defense and no one can touch it. So I think definitely she is building her resume for the new AVCA middle blocker of the year. And I would definitely consider her the front runner for that.
Absolutely. So, our last thing, Nebraska, congratulations to the Huskers. This is an incredible accomplishment, winning the Big Ten championship in Danny Busboom Kelly's first year. I saw the graphic today that she is the first year coach to win a Big Ten title, her first year in a league. That does not count like when Penn State moved into the league, they won it their first year. And
John Cook won it his first year.
Won it their first year in the league back in 2013 when John Cook was there, but neither of them were in their first year coaching that program. So that's another honor for Danny Busboom Kelly.
Yeah. Cool for her. All right, let's move into rotation 3. Talk about speaking of the Big Ten, what's going on in the rest of the league too. Nebraska's just beating everyone down, but there's still a lot of drama going on in the rest of the league too. I think, and starting with, someone objected to my labeling this of the battle for second place, because that's what this was. It was the 2 teams tied for second place. They wanted the Shondell brothers battle, but
Shondell Bowl.
Yeah, Shondell Bowl. But Wisconsin hosted Purdue, who is actually higher ranked, number 9 Purdue, but the Badgers dominated the match and ended up sweeping the Boilermakers 26-24, a little few extra points there in the first set, but 25-15, 25-17. And I think, again, this is a different Badgers team than what Nebraska saw on Halloween because Charlie Furbringer's back, and it's made a world of difference. Mimi Collier is hitting back above 300, 400 again, too. I mean, Wisconsin hit 311 against Purdue. And this is also what you haven't seen from Wisconsin a lot too, is balance. And I think that's a product of what Furbringer does too, is every single main attacker had between 8 and 10 kills, where usually you see Collier way up there because Collier's easy.
Yeah, Mimi Collier didn't have to take 55 swings to sweep Purdue.
Yeah, and the middles got involved too.
Crazy numbers for Wisconsin's middles. Both of them hit at least 500. Well, that's Annie Andrew and Carter Booth both hit 500. Purdue really struggled offensively in this match, and they always go the way that their big two goes, Kenna Woolard and Grace Heaney. Kenner Wall hit 0 against Wisconsin with as many kills as errors. Heaney only hit 130. So after game 1, Wisconsin handled business pretty easily. And if you say Wisconsin ends up as like the number 10 or 11 team in the country, that probably puts them as a 3 seed in someone's regional. Is that right? Nobody is going to want to see Wisconsin as the 3 seed in their regional.
I think, Nebraska fans may be worried too if they keep winning and moving up and some of the other teams drop, if they get down to that 8-9 range, and then they'll be end up in the Lincoln regional.
So that's what we're going to dive into on our show next week. It's probably going to be a little bit later start than normal because we're going to want the bracket to come out, and then we're going to want a little time to kind of digest the bracket and give you a good show about it. So look for us a little bit later than normal on Sunday. I'll also be driving home from the family Thanksgiving celebration, and apparently the weather is not going to be that great. So
I'll be writing a story after the bracket release from 5 to 6 o'clock.
Yeah, and Lincoln's got his writing responsibilities. But we know that Wisconsin probably feels pretty darn good about where they sit going into the end of the season because, frankly, that's all that matters right now is how you're playing at the end.
Yep. Another Big Ten match, USC defeated Oregon. This was a fun Big Ten.
You stayed up late for like this whole thing, right?
Yeah,
I went to bed after.
I'm like, this is gonna do this. But like the first set, Oregon ended up winning 33-31, and Alana Clemente, who we've talked about a lot here in this space, she's really just carrying the load for the Oregon Ducks too. But they've become a very solid team too. But then the second set went extra points. USC won that 28-26. The third set went extra points, 28-26, and then USC finally quashed the Ducks a little bit and only needed 25 points to win the fourth set too. I think USC ended up scoring 112 points in 4 sets. They really won the match. So that's just a lot of points, which for 100 points is usually the maximum you can get, but especially if you drop one of those, but they got 112 in just 4 sets.
London Weege, another great match for USC, 17 kills. The Nebraska native, Mia Taverdi, nice to see her doing well. Their middle blocker had 13 kills and hit 391 for a USC. And then Alana Clement, who, is she now in the conversation for National Freshman of the Year? I thought long ago we kind of decided that was going to be like Kari Spears at Texas, but now, Alana Clemente, I don't know what she's averaging kills per set wise now, but she is Oregon's go-to player. Had 24 kills for the Ducks, including I think 10 in the first set.
Yeah.
So I think Alana Clemente, is got to be in the conversation, like top 3 at least for National Freshman of the Year.
For sure. I mean, her and then Sully Davis from BYU is another name that's getting a lot of run as well as too. So yeah, they're doing big things, but as much as we hype them up for their good fight against USC, they then took it on the chin against the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah, and that was on Saturday, so maybe a little bit of a hangover for the Ducks. Michigan won this one in Eugene 3-1, and that was a big win for Michigan's NCAA tournament hopes. I think Michigan's now cracked the 20-win mark. And that's thanks on Saturday to Allison Jacobs, their great outside hitter, the 6th-year senior, 21 kills and hit 395. Clemente, again, a great match against Michigan, 23 kills. And then it was sort of a homecoming for Oregon, Oregon. Well, not homecoming because it was in Eugene, but she got to play her old team. Valentina Valette, the outside hitter for Oregon or for Michigan, had 17 kills as well. This is, again, one of those weird number matches in volleyball where you're like looking at the stat line and you're like, wait, who won? Because Oregon had 11 more kills in the match than Michigan, but they had twice as many errors, 28-14, and twice as many service errors, 10-5. And so that's how you lose in 4 despite having 11 more kills than your opponent.
Yeah. They're doing something. They're controlling a lot because this is what they do when they swing so aggressively that they'll get a lot of kills, but they also get a lot of errors too. And that's kind of
Oregon is just ride or die every single point, every single serve. Like, we're going for it.
Yeah. Clemente is averaging 3.9 kills per set, hitting 264 for the season, but that's after she had somewhat of a slow start to the season, but really during Big Ten play, she's really taken over and kind of had double-digit kills. I think every single match dating back to, the first Big Ten match she had 8, and then against Nebraska she only had 9, but every other Big Ten match she's had double-digit kills, including the last 3 matches: 25 against Purdue, 24 against Southern Cal, and then 23 against Michigan. So I think
no Flomari Heredia Cologne numbers, but we're getting close to that.
Yeah. Tournament hopes too. I think Michigan State was a bubble team. I think the volleyball bracketology Instagram account had them as the first 4 out last week, and then they go ahead and probably saw their bubble burst this weekend when they lost to Ohio State on Sunday, 3-1. I was looking at the RPI. I think they were 49th going into this match too, and they fell to 60th as a result afterwards. So. Kristen Kelsey's done a wonderful job too. They just maybe run out of steam a little bit. And Ohio State's, we'll talk about them a lot later, but they've been close, but they finally got something good against a team up north.
So take a look at your final Big Ten standings, which we know the top 2 are going to be Nebraska, number 1. Wisconsin will be number 2, thanks to that win over Purdue last week. And then the 3rd spot's actually going to come down to this Saturday. Indiana and Purdue, that's a Monon Spike match. Is that what they call it? That's the interstate battle, the Indiana Derby between Indiana and Purdue on Saturday. The winner of that match is going to seal the number 3 spot in the Big Ten standings. Am I wrong on that, Lincoln?
Well, the Big Ten standings, they don't have tiebreakers. So Wisconsin does have a match against Minnesota next week. So if they were to lose and Purdue goes 2-0, they would then move back into a tie for second place. But we'll see if the way Wisconsin's been playing, I think that if they can beat Minnesota and Northwestern this week, they will. They have a game up on Purdue.
Okay. And then Indiana is charging hard for that number 4 spot. The last top 4 finish, and I think you dug this up, Lincoln, so great job. Indiana's last top 4 finish in the conference came in 1995.
Yeah. They're tied for 4th that year with Illinois. So,
well, great job by Steve Aird putting together a really salty team in Bloomington this year.
If they can do that, they're currently tied with USC at number 4. So if they get one more that win over Purdue, that will set them up quite nicely for one of their best finishes in a couple decades. So,
all right, so that's your Big Ten. Let's move into rotation 4. A lot of other stuff is happening around the country, and I want us to start in the ACC because this is a really compelling conference. The ACC championship is going to come down to the final week of the regular season with Stanford, Louisville, and I wrote this down last night, and I don't believe this has changed. There were no upsets today, right? Stanford, Louisville, and Pitt are all tied at the top of the ACC standings going into the final week of regular season play. And Louisville gets to be the team that controls its destiny because Louisville is going to go to Pitt on Wednesday and then turn around and host Stanford in Louisville on Saturday. So the Cardinals will have a chance to control their own destiny and win the ACC title. Otherwise, Stanford or Pitt are going to go home with that crown.
Yeah, it's pure, like you said, I think begin to start the show. This is how they scheduled it. They wanted these big matchups, end of the year to have something worth something on the line too. So we'll get to see that. And I don't know who's. they might have a split crown, and then I don't know what the tiebreakers are because I think Stanford Pitt may have split, and we'll see what I mean. For this conference, the outright title doesn't mean a lot too because they're all going to make the tournament. The automatic thing that comes with that doesn't matter. So we'll see that.
Yeah, well, a rough week too in the ACC for the North Carolina Tar Heels, which is they're having a great season. They're ranked for the first time in a few years. They went down to the Sunshine State and ran into some hurricane weather. They lost to Miami, and then they also lost to Florida State. So an 0-2 week for the Tar Heels this week pushes them a little bit farther down the ACC standings.
Yeah. They're going to be an interesting case to see what the tournament does with them, because I think, before this week they were ranked 15th. That'll probably drop a little bit based on those two losses. But RPI, they're number 49. They just have they only have one top 25 win. They have a losing record. They're 3-5 against top 50 teams. So we'll see. I don't know how the committee will treat them because apparently the voters are really impressed with them. I mean, they pushed Pitt a little bit, and they almost knocked off Pitt in 5 sets. And they did beat SMU. That's their one big win of the year. So we'll see where they fall out in the rankings.
Carolina is one of those teams that are hoping that there's no bid stealers in the conference tournaments maybe this week, hoping that all the favorites end up winning out. So there's a few more at-large slots.
I think they should be in, but it's I don't know if they'll get a seed or where they get seeded. They should be safe, I think. So we'll see. But speaking of tournaments, let's go to the SEC. They brought back the SEC tournament down in Savannah. And it's been a great bracket so far too. We've seen some spirited runs from teams that they kind of did the double bye situation for the top 4 teams, and then 5 through 8 got a single bye, and seen some fun runs too. Yeah. I mean, Vanderbilt, they won the first 2 rounds. They came in as the 15th seed overall, but they knocked off Mississippi State and Georgia, and then they got humbled a little bit against Texas A&M, who won in straight sets too. But they showed some fight. Yeah. I think they fought off 6 match points in that 3rd set before finally succumbing to the Aggies.
No, I think a great deal of credit needs to go to friend of the show, Anders Nelson, who we spoke with this summer for their first season restarting the Vanderbilt program. Like, that was a respectable team. They won some matches. They didn't get smoked. You might expect a first-year program to do. And then they won back-to-back matches in the SEC tournament against Mississippi State and Georgia. So congratulations to Vanderbilt. Like, that's a really solid foundation to they don't like calling it year one. I know for maybe colloquial purposes, we'll say it's the first year of the Vanderbilt volleyball program, but the first one in 30 or so years. Other than that, nothing super surprising happened. Kentucky swept Auburn to move into the semifinals, but then Florida ran into a hiccup against Tennessee. Those are 2 teams that are pretty evenly matched. Tennessee went on to beat them in 4, led by 15 kills and 11 digs from former Nebraska player Hayden Kubik.
Yeah, Tennessee kind of edged out Florida. They were the 4 seeds. They were favored to win too, but their only game separated them in the standings as well too. The one other team that did make a little bit of run that had won the first round and also won another one was Ole Miss too. They picked up a couple wins too. They also feature Superior native Shayla Myers for native Nebraskan. But then they played Texas here on Sunday night, and they ran to a buzzsaw. They managed just 36 points. And a sweep by the Longhorns. So Texas hit 475 in that match and looked. I mean, I didn't watch a lot of it too, but a little bit of that I did watch early on. They looked pretty good. Tori Stafford put up 16 kills, hit 500. Kari Spears back in the argument, 11 kills on 19 swings, hit 579. So
the semifinals, and we're recording this on Sunday, just so you all know, semifinals of the SEC tournament will be Monday, and those are the top 4 seeds, right? It's Kentucky, Tennessee,
no surprises.
Texas, and Texas A&M.
Yeah.
So you get Texas and A&M in the semis, right? And then Kentucky and Tennessee will be in the other semi?
Correct.
Right.
And then so the semifinals on Monday, and we'll all get to watch the finals on SEC Network on Tuesday evening. So watch that, and also watch friend of the program, both friends of the program, Emily Eman, I think Sam Gore, all friends of the program on the broadcast, who Sam Gore, Emily Eman, Michaela Chester are there, getting some nice Southern hospitality in late November too. So
do you think the SEC tournament will have any sort of bearings on seeding for the NCAA tournament? I feel like Kentucky is going to be a top 4 seed. Yes. Nebraska is going to be a top 4 seed. And then you're fighting it out in the ACC maybe for the other two. I don't know if Texas is going to be a top 4 seed, although you seem to think that their RPI numbers are strong enough that they're going to be. So maybe the ACC champion gets that fourth top 4 seed.
Yeah, I mean, Texas is still number 2 in the RPI. I think the only way it could impact that is if Texas A&M beats Texas for the second time this year too. That'll boost them. They're number 9 in the RPI, so we'll see. But yeah, I think
maybe that opens the door for a second ACC team to jump in,
or the sneaky one of them all, Arizona State. They're 3 in the RPI. I mean, they don't have as many. They're 6-3 against top 25 teams, but if they can finish strong, they can make a case too. But I think maybe people discount them because of the chaos of the Big 12 too, but they've survived the chaos.
Well, we'll talk about all that and the entire tournament bracket on next week's show, which will be live on Sunday for Volleyball State subscribers. Check that out at patreon.com/i80 club. Just $5 to.
Yes. Speaking of Arizona State and the Big 12, let's talk to our favorite conference next. Go ahead.
No, yeah, absolutely. Arizona State clinched the league title. So Arizona with a 3-1 win this week at Houston. It's the second year they have won the league title now both years since Arizona State has joined the Big 12. So congratulations. And what's really impressive this year, what JJ Van Niel has done with that program, is they have pretty much a brand new starting lineup from last season. They lost their best outside. They lost their setter. They lost their amazing libero. And they had to retool, and they added Noemi Glover, the transfer from Oregon, on the right, and just ran through the Big 12 again. So congratulations to Arizona State for taking home the league title for the second year in a row. The number 2 spot in the Big 12, Lincoln, could come down to Wednesday night's matchup between Iowa State and Kansas. So if ISU wins, if I'm doing the math right, they clinch second in the league. Otherwise, we might have a tie, and Colorado's loss might have changed this, but I had it. There would be a 3-way tie for second between Kansas, Iowa State, and Colorado.
Yeah, kicking themselves after that. I mean, that they should have had second place locked up. I mean, they're still. Kansas has 2 matches left. I think everyone else has 1, maybe. It's still not. I don't know if it's updated yet, but Iowa State's 12-4, Colorado's 12-5, Kansas is 11-5, and Baylor's 11-6. So they do uneven scheduling where not every team plays that. But Kansas is kicking themselves because they should be ahead of everyone else. But this past week, they lost to BYU. They lost to Utah.
They got swept by Utah, right?
Yeah, it was not a good week for them in the BI State. So, and then Colorado also lost at Cincinnati, and those scores for those sets were not very close. They got ran off the floor by the Bearcats. So
yeah, Jordan Thompson did not slip back into a Cincinnati uniform.
Maybe she did.
Well, and Kansas is kind of messing around with their setter right now. I thought Kristen Klein, the Oregon transfer, who set them in the early part of the year, was going to hang on to that job, and now they're switching setters around a little bit. I don't know that this is the time of year you really want to do that, but Kansas is going to make the tournament, but it looks like they're going to have an uphill battle to get second in the Big 12.
Yeah, their case to host in the first weekend also took a big hit with those 2 losses.
Real quickly, we have not talked about Creighton very much on the show this season since they played Nebraska back in September, but you got to tip your hat to the Blue Jays. They won the Big East tournament for the 6th straight year, and I think one of the reasons we don't talk as much about Creighton is their dominance in the Big East is just sort of assumed. They own that league. Creighton's won 20 straight matches since that 5-set loss to Nebraska, and they're up to number 6 in the RPI. So, just like Wisconsin, Creighton is not a team that any of these top 4 seeds are going to want to see in the regional, because that is they're the 5th now.
According to our unofficial RPI projections, are up to 5th now. Yeah.
Is Rich Kern texting you during the show?
I got it up on the screen.
Well,
but they played Xavier
to be a 2 seed in somebody's regional and land in an Elite 8 matchup potentially, just like they did at Penn State last year.
Yeah, they're going to be a feisty team, and like I said, they play Xavier today. Xavier is 25th in the RPI, still trying to get some respect and get ranked. I think Xavier deserves to be ranked, especially considering the work that they've done this year compared to some other teams that reside in the Keystone State. So congrats to Creighton. They're could be real feisty. But this weekend was a lot of fun too, because there were a lot of other teams that qualified for the tournament too. I mean, Maryland, Baltimore County won the American East. Tulsa, I think this is one that's maybe a bid stealer. They beat Rice today in the American Athletic Conference championship. So that was kind of fun. Central Arkansas won. Loyola Chicago, I think they could be a potential first round opponent for Nebraska too, because they're right below 500, but they won the A10. High Point, they feature former Nebraska native Allie Gray. I think she's on the roster. I don't know if she's played much this year too, but she's from the Big South. High Point won again. Campbell, who's Nebraska's seen them recently in the postseason tournament, they won the CAA. Western Kentucky saved a bubble because this was a weird conference. UTEP was also the number 1 seed. They lost in the first round, so I think this is a 2-bid league between UTEP and Western Kentucky, but Western Kentucky ended up winning the Conference USA to win it.
And they won in 5. It was like 16-14 in the 5th, right?
It was, well, I don't, also point of, they played Florida International. It was down to Florida International. Florida International had a dumb court design that had like a beach scene that extended like a foot into the playing action. So they had pink tape on the court, and it was very difficult to see where the sideline was and the stupid beach graphic. So that's beside the point too, but great win by them. Former Nebraska opponent from earlier this year, Wright State. The Raiders ended up winning the Horizon. Princeton won the Ivy League. Toledo's making their first appearance they won the MAC, the Fairfield. You know Fairfield's mascot?
I don't.
The Stags. The Stags.
Really?
They won the MAC.
That's fantastic. Good job, Fairfield.
Atlantic Athletic Conference. Coppin State's in the MEAC. Long Island, who played at Nebraska, the Fighting Sharks, won the Northeastern Conference.
Not this year, a couple years ago.
A couple years ago, yeah. 2 years ago, I think that was who they played to. They have a fun story. A lot of Puerto Ricans on that team that visited Nebraska. American won the Patriot League.
American took a set off Nebraska in like the first round of an NCAA tournament match, probably 10 or 12 years ago.
Yeah. The Lady Jacks from Stephen F. Austin won the Southland. Wofford, who I still remember last year had the upset of the year when they beat Tennessee, some random Monday night or Monday afternoon match as well too. Arkansas State, they beat Missouri earlier this year too. They ended up winning the Sun Belt. Another fun Cinderella story. Florida A&M, they were the number 8 seed in the SWAC, end up winning that conference tournament. And then a couple ones from earlier this weekend, Utah Valley won the WAC, and San Diego were the WCC champions.
So I struggled a little bit when I was looking around for our Supernova's Shining Star of the Week. And, credit to Dan Gilman, a friend of the show, great volleyball broadcaster, for digging up this factoid. The Atlantic Coast Conference has had 13 instances this year of players getting 30 or more kills in a match this season, which is as many as the other big 3 conferences combined, the Big Ten, the SEC, and the Big 12. You might expect that for a conference that has Olivia Babcock, who's done it 3 times, Flamari Heredia Colon, who's done it 7 times this season. But oh no, it has been a rough year under the Golden Dome at Notre Dame this year. They're under 500. The program has not gone as swimmingly as they thought it was going to when they hired Salima Rockwell, but they have a shining star in sophomore outside hitter Morgan Gerte, who had, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. It's the first time in my life I've said the name out loud. She had 33 kills on 70 swings in a 5-set win over Clemson this week. And you know what, Lincoln? It's not even her season high. She had 34 kills earlier in the year in a match that they played against Illinois that Illinois won in 5. So Morgan, congratulations. A redeeming factor in Notre Dame's disappointing season with 33 kills. And you are my Omaha Supernova's Shining Star of the Week.
Nice. I also went deep for mine too. I was looking up all these tournament championships on Sunday and Saturday. I'm giving mine to Jessica Kostlow. She's from the Toledo Rockets, who, like I just mentioned, are making their first ever NCAA tournament. This was even their first ever MAC tournament championship match too. So they hadn't even had the possibility to get to there in previous years too. But Jessica, she's an outside hitter. She finished with 21 kills and 22 digs. So she will get my Supernova's Shining Star of the Week.
Excellent.
So with legendary coach John Cook now serving as general manager, he's going to have a busy weekend because the Supernova's draft is on Monday. So if you listen to this Tuesday, John Cook has finally put together their draft. You can, if you're watching this live, you can watch it on the Roku Sports channel. So excited to figure out who the newest Supernovas will be. But that's because that's happening Monday. They already got several great stars on their team. Former Husker star Merritt Beeson, Brooke Nunaviller. They just signed a couple other middle blockers from this past weekend as well too. So they're still rounding out, getting ready for training camp. It's a season that you don't want to miss. So come be part of the best atmosphere in all of professional volleyball. They have 14 thrilling home matches at the CHI Health Center. Cheer on the Supernovas as they chase another championship. So don't wait. Grab your Supernovas season tickets at supernovas.com.
Moving into rotation 5, we teased this at the top of the show. Nebraska has a lot of small college programs who are outstanding and have been having outstanding seasons. This is our look real quick at the Division II and NAIA postseason. A lot of familiar names if you are a volleyball fan in Nebraska. The Division II bracket reveal is out on Monday, and I feel like we talked about this every year we've had a show. We talked about it with Division II coaches we've had on. The Division II tournament is still regionalized. Yeah. And so all the best teams in the country are in the middle of the country, and they all get put in that central region. So whoever makes it out of the central region has kind of already won a mini version of the NCAA tournament, and then they go on to the Elite Eight. So we're looking at the bracket reveal is going to be on Monday. If you're listening to this later in the week, you already have spoilers on that. But if we're looking at the central regional rankings from the middle of November, Nebraska Kearney, UNK, is the number one ranked team in the central region. They're 26-3. Wayne State, which got upset in their conference tournament this past weekend in the Northern Sun, is also 26-3. And those are top 5 teams nationally in the ABCA Division II poll.
Yeah, and you look at, they released these, I think, last week on November 16th, I think is when these rankings come up. So there were some conference tournament actions that happened since then too, but yeah, they're 1 and 2. They're ranked number 3 and 2. Kearney's actually ranked one spot behind Wayne in the ABCA Division II poll. But you look at what the other top 10 teams are ranked in the region. You have Missouri Western is 16th, Concordia St. Paul is 5, Washburn number 7, St. Cloud State's 11, Central Oklahoma is 8, Emporia State is 24, Central Missouri, they're not ranked, but they get 34th most points, and Minnesota State's 22. So there's 10 teams. Only 8 are going to make the postseason. So 2 of those teams aren't even going to make the tournament. And one of them is not ranked. There's 9 ranked teams, and one of them is not making the tournament, which is just ridiculous that we're still doing this.
Come on, Division II, nationalize the tournament.
Yeah. Which again, we'll talk about this, right? The NAIA, you saw a team from Florida come up to Concordia to play a qualifying game too. So if they can do it at the NAIA level, Division II can do it.
We can get a Florida team up to Seward on a Thursday night or whenever it was. We can fix Division II. Yeah,
but Kearney's had a very good season. They've lost to Emporia State and Washburn, who will probably all be there. That's their 3 losses. They'll be in that. The only team that Wayne State's lost to in the region, they lost to Concordia St. Paul, who's a national power, and then they lost to St. Cloud State in that conference tournament too. So it's going to be exciting to see how that kicks off. And we'll be also check out that. I'll send it out on Twitter on Monday, but check to see what that bracket looks like to see where the teams from the Cornhusker State will be playing.
Yeah, you're going to have to remind me exactly how the NAIA tournament works, because I know there's a pool play and then it advances to a tournament section. I know Bellevue University in Nebraska was the national runner-up last year in NAIA, lost a heartbreaker in 5 in the national title match. And so Concordia is the number 3 ranked team in NAIA. Bellevue's number 7, and then Midland out of Fremont is number 17th.
Yeah. So how that happened? They've already started their postseason play too. They selected, I think it was 48 teams made the field. There was an open qualifying round, which they all played on Saturday. Like I said, Concordia beat Florida National. All the 3 Nebraska teams swept. There weren't any big danger too. So Bellevue ended up sweeping Columbia from Missouri, and Midland defeated Grandview, which is a college in Iowa. So all 3 of them are moving on to the actual pool play tournament, which happens up in Sioux City. That starts the first week of December. So how it works is there's 24 teams that all qualified for this. They get put into into pools based on their seeding, and then they play each of those teams once, and then whoever wins the pool goes directly to an 8-team single elimination.
It's only slightly less complicated than the basketball playoffs.
Yes.
You guys remember Bob Costas breaking that down?
Yeah. So Concordia and Bellevue, you would think based on their seedings are favored to advance out of their pool. Concordia plays the Masters out of California and Dakota Wesleyan. Bellevue has matches against Oklahoma Wesleyan and Bushnell out of Oregon. And Midland, they're the underdogs because they played 8th seed McPherson and then number 9 Cumberland's out of Kentucky too. And you look at who these teams have played too. I mean, Concordia, they've played. I mean, they're 3rd seed in the tournament too. They've lost to number 1 Eastern Oregon. They lost to number 2 Northwestern Iowa. Shout out Jack Mitchell. But they beat the number 4 seed Indiana Wesleyan, who is the defending champion too. As well too. So the Concordia has the experience, and like we saw last year with Bellevue, they may not have been expected to do it, but they got hot and went all the way to the national championship match.
And that's going to be in Sioux City, Iowa. So if you're in the Siouxland area, Northeast Nebraska, Iowa, South Dakota, get on over there between December 3rd and I don't know when it ends. The single
December 5th. December 3rd and 5th of pool play, and then the single elimination tournament starts on the 6th, and that'll conclude 3 days after that. So the finals would be on the 9th. Is that if I remember math correctly?
Sounds right to me. So we'll keep you updated on as the shows go on how Nebraska teams are faring in the smaller division national tournaments. We're going to move on to rotation 6 and give you a preview of Nebraska's matches this weekend against Penn State and Ohio State. But first, this segment is brought to you by JIV Athletics. For you players or parents of players, if you're looking for the perfect layer under your spandex for next volleyball season, I know club seasons are getting started right about now too. JIV Athletics makes high-performance underwear engineered specifically for volleyball players. This year, InStyle magazine named JIV one of the best workout underwear brands in its category, and they're endorsed and worn by U.S. Olympic gold and silver medalist Micah Hancock, so you know they're built for athletes at the highest level. Made without PFAS or harmful forever chemicals, JIV's fabrics are breathable, they're moisture-wicking, and they're designed to give women true comfort and confidence under their spandex. So try them today and feel the difference, and we're going to save you some money as well. You can use code VSP15, that's VSP15, to save 15% at jivathletics.com. That's JIV athletics.com.
Yes, all right. Penn State, Black Friday. I think this has kind of become the annual tradition that Nebraska now plays this match too. It'll be on BTN. It's going to be on 5:30. So for those of you who are watching Nebraska Iowa football at 11 o'clock, you have plenty of time to take a nap after that before you recharge for the main event of the day of volleyball. John Cook Arena will be a home match for Nebraska as well too. And they'll actually do, even though Nebraska clinched the Big Ten title, they won a share and they won it outright. They're going to do their Big Ten Conference Championship celebration with Penn State in the building, which may or may not be coincidental. Who knows?
You know, Penn State, pretty rough start to the year and a poor season by Penn State's very lofty standards. But, you know, I feel like they have kind of steadied in recent weeks. They're 17-11 overall, 11-7 in the Big Ten. And if they lose to Nebraska on Friday, that's going to give them 8 conference losses, which will be the most that Penn State has ever had in a Big Ten season. And they joined the league back in 1991. So we all know that Nebraska dominated the first match back in early October in Happy Valley. They swept them. They hit over 400. They held Penn State negative. Penn State hit negative 114. Penn State only had 16 total kills in the match, and only 3 players actually recorded kills for Penn State. So Nebraska's got to make sure that they are not a victim of their past selves and really pull it together against a Penn State team that maybe has a couple more weapons firing now, Lincoln, than they did back in October. Maggie Mendelson, former Husker, very familiar face, has come on for Penn State lately. She's had double-digit kills and hit over 400 in Penn State's recent wins over Ohio State, Michigan State, and Maryland. She had just 3 kills in that first match against Nebraska. So they're getting her the ball a little bit more. Emmy Selman, you know, her struggles have kind of continued all year long on the outside. The Ohio State transfer, 11 matches this year in Big Ten play. She's hit under 200, and she's only hitting 164 for the season.
Not great.
No.
One thing that has kind of improved their strength a little bit is Maggie Mendelson is a big part of that too. Caroline Jervisha, she missed several matches earlier in November, but she's been back the last couple of ones, and she looked some of the best that she's looked in a while too. She had 11 kills on 19 swings against Maryland too, so another old friend for Nebraska too. And I think that, I mean, Penn State comes and goes based on Kenny Martin too. I mean, she's leading the Big Ten, hitting 5.43 kills per set, so she will get a bulk of the kills and the swings for them too. I mean, I think that, I mean, this credit to Addie Lyon, their setter, who's taken over and kind of being thrust into a role that she was not probably expecting to do so, but I think she's done a admirable job to right the ship, like you said, really steady them out and kind of make them an above average Big Ten team. They're not I mean, again, this is what we talked about one of the first couple segments with Nebraska standard too. But I think for what she's been thrust into, I think she's done a good job this year.
And also one other note on Penn State, not that it was really a big surprise, I don't think, to anyone, but Izzy Stark, who left their team back in September, did make it official, I guess, or semi-official when she posted on social media that she would be entering the transfer portal when it opens in December, and look for her to play at another team next year.
She made it her official, her intentions to it. She can't enter the portal. She can't contact with other teams too. I made the joke that this is like Michael Scott in the Office screaming, "I declare bankruptcy!" Like, I declare I'm into the transfer portal. That's great. You can declare that, but you can't. You're not in the transfer portal till.
She will be in the transfer portal and will be playing for a new team next year. We're going to take a look at that match against Ohio State when we come back right after this.
Hi, I'm Mikey Hancock, two-time Olympian from Edmond, Oklahoma. Confidence means everything. For me, it comes from within. As an elite athlete, you look for external validation way too much. I've worked really hard to attain that and not seek external validation. Jiv makes me feel confident because I don't have to worry about the functionality of my undergarment. At the Paris Olympics, I was so happy that Jiv was the layer beneath it all, whether I was gallivanting the city or playing in the Olympic Games. Instead of adjusting what I'm wearing, the functionality of it helps me lock in and be in the moment. That's why I choose Jiv, not just for game day, but for every day.
All right, Nebraska and Ohio State, the regular season finale will be on Saturday night, 8 p.m., so late start Central Time. That's on Big Ten Network. Ohio State got the win on Sunday over Michigan State, just their third in Big Ten play this year. They're 6-20 overall. They're 3-15 in Big Ten play. And they have to play on Friday night against a really salty Iowa team before they come to Lincoln. So they're going to be playing 2 matches in 24 hours. None of this spells a recipe for success for the Buckeyes.
No, it's been a disastrous year too. Probably the end can't come soon enough for her, for Jen Flint-Oldenburg. And I think she has a fairly decent recruiting class coming in, can hit the portal and try to build up the talent base, which has been decimated by the portal the last couple of years too. And this team just doesn't have a lot of talent left over. I mean, they're second to last in the Big Ten, so 17th in the Big Ten in hitting percentage at just 184. They're last in opponent hitting percentage at 261, and second to last in kills, last in total blocks. So just the numbers aren't that great too. I mean, so they, like you said, they did pick up a big win on Sunday against Michigan State. They also beat Maryland and Rutgers, who are the 2 teams behind behind Ohio State in the standings too. So it's been a rough go of things for the Buckeyes. And I mean, no one was expecting them to be great this year or even above 500, but this has been a hard bottoming out for the Buckeyes.
Absolutely. When Ohio State has had success this year, they've been led by their junior outside hitter, Hannah Jones, who's a transfer from Memphis. She has 3.3 kills a set, which if you look at the rest of the Big Ten kill leaders is not near the top. Ohio State, as Lincoln just mentioned, not great offensively this year. Their second leading attacker from a kills perspective is 5'9" outside hitter Reese Wubker, who averages 2.7 kills per set. She actually had a really good start to the year, but it's kind of cooled off lately. I don't have the numbers for how she did today against Michigan State, but if you go through a Big Ten schedule like this and you only win 3 matches, you're just a poor team. And I think the question on everyone's lips who follows Big Ten volleyball is like, is Jen Flint-Oldenburg done in Columbus? Because she has, and it's not just that like they've had one bad season, they have had a lot of their really good players get in the transfer portal over the last couple seasons. And that is something that will get an administrator's attention.
Yeah. And this has been kind of a straight decline after a couple years ago. They made the regional finals with all of those stud players that then kind of dispersed amongst the country as well too. I mean, Emily Londot stayed there too, but Mac Pedraza ended up transferring. I'm trying to
Selman left last year, and
Selman left, and Grace Egan left as well too. And I'm trying to think, even before that, they had players go to Oregon, Tennessee. Kylie Murr went to Minnesota. So it's they've had an exodus of talent that's been. Volleyball makes it a little bit harder, but with the portal, you expect them to build it up a little bit. So Jennifer Oldenburg
got resources, and we don't know what. You know, Ohio State has one of the largest athletic departments in the country when it comes to the number of sports that they offer. And so you are fighting for not a very big piece of the pie in that athletic department when it comes to like NIL and rev share dollars.
They are one of the few programs at Ohio State that are getting rev share too. I remember I talked to Jen Oldenburg at Big Ten Media Days about that too. If that adds more pressure to it, like the job adds pressure to it. So, I mean, she's very well respected. I mean, she's a great coach. I mean, she's currently president of the AVCA. So very well liked amongst her peer institutions. And it's really interesting to see the path that they take, whether the administration views this as an anomaly or if this is an ongoing trend that they decide to cut bait and go a different direction as well too. So I don't think this is cut and dry as she's gone. So we'll have to see. If you've seen this in football a little bit too, where they decide to double down and invest more into the program with revenue sharing and whatever. But
that's when you're at a school like Florida State that can't afford to fire their head coach.
Yeah. Will they work for a football program like Virginia? Will it work for volleyball and kind of give her a chance to rebuild the program through the portal? And like I said, they have some good recruits lined up.
Well, they're not going to the postseason, so the answer on that question will probably come within the next week or two. Hey, Lincoln, I'm sorry to put you on the spot on this, but do you still have the RPI numbers up?
I do.
What is Penn State in the RPI?
Penn State, that's Penn. 31.
So do they have a chance to get an at-large bid? If they beat Nebraska on Friday, would they get an at-large bid to the tournament?
Yeah, Penn State will make the tournament. Yeah, okay. I think usually it's in the 40s is what, if you get in the 40s, that's where you're kind of talking bubbles. I think it's at 31. They should be fairly safe too. I mean, Penn State
Penn State has every reason to try to come in and play. Spoiler here, and you know that Mendelson and Juravicius are going to be amped up to play in Lincoln again. And anytime you have Kennedy Martin, right, you've got a chance. Now Nebraska so dominated them in State College that of course the expectation is like you can't drop a set in Nebraska. Oh my gosh, what's happening if you do? But again, this is a Penn State team, just like their football team you saw against Nebraska on Saturday, that's got talent. And so you wonder why they haven't always been able to put it together. If they were able to take a set off Nebraska and make the Huskers sweat a bit on Friday, would not surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah, but I think we'll see Nebraska. I mean, Nebraska was absolutely locked in on that first match too. I think much like you see last year, you saw Juravicius have her best matches against Nebraska too. I think this Nebraska team is locked in on Penn State and wants revenge a year too late against the Nittany Lions. So we'll see that.
And the difference between some of those other past Penn State teams and this one is just defensively, Penn State is a step below, I think, their standard. Their block is not great. And I know they've got, Grimes and Faldudo are good in the back row. But like Nebraska just got a lot of balls down against them in Happy Valley that they probably shouldn't have. And I think Nebraska is going to be able to kind of move the ball around against that block and have some really good offensive success.
Yep. And you can listen to us break down this match on Volleyball Late, which you can join at patreon.com, patreon.com/I80 Club for just $5 a month. I think if you join now, the next month, you'll get the rest of the season too. So
you're gonna get sick of hearing us talk in the month of December.
You'll love it.
Absolutely. We're also going to come back next Sunday to do a live Volleyball State regular show that's going to come out on Tuesday of the following week. That's going to be a start time a little bit later on Sunday, maybe like 8 o'clock. Lincoln and I will have to get on the phone and figure it out. But we just want to make sure that we have time to accurately digest the brackets. Probably be a little bit of a different show format next week because we're going to focus all on the tournament and make sure that we get all of those regions broken down. And who knows, we might even be able to dig up a new friend of the show or an old friend of the show, a special guest to come on and break this down with us. So we've got Lincoln's got some things up his sleeve. He's got a very robust phone address book.
Yes, we'll do that too. So thanks to our sponsors for this week's show, Alumni Hall, the Supernovas, and JIV Athletics. And also thanks to our Patreon members that help support this program so we can put out great content for you. If you want to read all of our articles, follow us on social media, go to volleyballstate.com. We got a link tree there. Jeff and I put out stuff on Husker Max. I do some videos as well too. My 3 thoughts after matches. Follow us on social media. It's a good time to be in the volleyball game because this is the time of the year that we look forward to for the other 11 months.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. We will be back on Friday night with Volleyball Late, and then again on Sunday for another edition of Volleyball State breaking down the NCAA tournament. Have a great week, and we will talk to you next week.